Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Tea and Crumpets podcast, the podcast where we interview our guests while eating tea and crumpets. I'm your host, Jenna.
And I'm your co-host, Anne. In today's episode, we will be discussing how the development of the English colonies developed into America today.
In fact, we have a special guest today who has traveled straight from the 17th century using time travel. Welcome, Angela!
What a disgrace! Here, these are the real tea and crumpets straight from the 17th century.
Okay, first question. What do you think are the differences between the demographic back then and now in today's America?
Well, 104 of us sailed from Europe and landed in Virginia, where the Powhatan Confederacy were the most prominent natives there. The Wampanoag inhabited the north, while the Lenni Lenape inhabited the middle. Then after we developed the English colonies, the new demographic consisted of mostly English in New England. In the middle region, there were English, German, Scots, French, Swedish, Scots-Irish, and Finns among other Europeans. Down south, however, there were mostly English people and their African slaves.
With all the diverse people in the colonies, what were their different religions that they believed in? And I heard that England would persecute people who believed in different religions. Did that cause anyone to make a new colony for religious freedom?
Of course it did. There were many different religions, such as Catholicism, Anglicanism, Quakers, Puritans, and various other Christians. Also, people did move to the colonies to have religious freedom. For example, the Puritans and Pilgrims in the Middle Colonies, or the Quakers in the New England colonies. The Quakers also embraced religious tolerance.
So, Angelo, how do you think the economy in the past has influenced America's economy now?
Well, first of all, back in my time, many of us colonists figured that we could make a good living off plantations. For example, we have invested in huge areas of land for tobacco plantations, and we would sell or trade most of our products. And these plantations made our colonies very prosperous.
Wow, that seems like a lot of hard work. How were you able to keep up with all your farming with only yourself? And what did you do with your goods after your harvest?
Well, actually, I didn't. We had a trade route called the triangular trade, and we used it to trade with the Africans for slaves who would come work on our plantations. In addition, we used the triangular trade route for trading products too. Also, there were people willing to become indentured servants for 3 to 7 years for the benefit of moving to the colonies. Also, the British government made a law called the Navigation Act that would stop the colonists from trading with other countries other than New England. But we decided to ignore it. They made the law because they saw the potential that our colonies would make them more prosperous.
Let's move on to our next topic about wars and conflicts. Have you experienced any major wars or conflicts in your lifetime yet?
Of course I have. It was wild back in the days. We had soldiers and horses running everywhere. For example, we had the 7 Years' War, the King's Philip War, and Pontiac's Rebellion. Because of the 7 Years' War, the British won a bunch of land. The King's Philip War resulted in the death of many Native Americans and colonists in war. Pontiac's Rebellion was kind of similar. A bunch of Native Americans banded together to push out the colonists from their land. A lot of colonists and Native Americans died during this time, but ended when Pontiac finally surrendered 2 years later.
So with all those conflicts and wars, what did your government think? And what was your relationship with the British government after?
Our government wasn't very happy about the conflicts and created the Proclamation of 1763, which tried to stop us from moving west into Native American lands. Me, personally, I hate those British. The other colonists and I wanted to break off and become independent from the British. Some Puritan colonists didn't like the fact that they were losing influence in the colonies, but when they tried to get their power back, it didn't work. The other colonists started to think that religion should be a more personal and individual thing. We also thought that the government should do their job better and what they do should benefit their citizens. Both these movements made us skeptical about whether we should still be under their control. With all that being said, I have a few questions for you guys about today's America. What does the demographic look like in America now? Are there any new races that have made their way into America?
Nowadays, if you walk in the streets of busy cities, you will see many different cultures in one area. For instance, if you walk around in the city of Los Angeles, you'll see many people with different ethnicities such as Asians, Europeans, Africans, Latin Americans, and many others.
Interesting. Has the economy changed or evolved in any way since the 1700s?
Yes, Our economy has evolved over time from merchants trading their goods to now having many business owners promote their brand or products. In addition, we have many people who specialize in medical fields, retail management, education, or construction.
Wow, seems like America has evolved a lot since my time. Next question. Have any of the conflicts in the past affected the US today?
Most of the conflicts we had in the past have been resolved today.
How's your government's relationship with the British like?
As of what I know, our government and the British have been on good terms.
That's intriguing. Sounds like it's very different from how it is now in my days.
Alright, guys, Anna and I are going to wrap up this episode and send Angelo back to the 17th century. Thank you so much for listening to our podcast, and we'll catch you guys next time.